Okay, so we're applying pentatonic scales to a steady left-hand rhythm. It's one thing to play your right hand individually, practicing pentatonics, but I think it's better to start to feel a pulse and how notes line up, and you're training yourself to play one hand against the next. So we're gonna apply, right? That's gonna be the rhythm that we're gonna use before changing and using this other gentleman's pattern of these two shapes, right? That's gonna be the goal. But we're not even gonna change chords. We're gonna simplify that even more, just keeping a steady quarter note pulse going here. And we're looking at the notes of a C major pentatonic, but really, since we've got A as our base, we're gonna keep all of these same notes, but take this note and look at it like this, which is now an A minor pentatonic, right?
Right.
Same thing, we're just skipping over F, skipping over B, and we're gonna look at every inversion of this, right? Meaning, this is the first setup. We'll call this a root position of this pentatonic, and this would be the next mode of that pentatonic, which is a C major, right? Here's the next mode, right? And we're gonna get to know each of these shapes, and then you're back to home base. So we're gonna apply a bunch of different types of rhythms to these patterns. So we're gonna look in groups of two. I mentioned this one before. Looking at a group of two, kind of like this in the C major scale. We're skipping and then starting over to do the skip. We're gonna apply this idea here. So the first skip has to be larger, right? So we're looking at this kind of a pattern, applying to the minor pentatonic. And we're gonna apply first an eighth note pattern. So if these are quarter notes, right? That would be 1, 2, 3. An eighth note pattern would be 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1. And I like to play maybe 1 or 2 octaves worth. Right? Something like that. Right? And you would want to play that a bunch and get really comfortable with that. Another native rhythm to this 2-note pattern would be 16th notes, which would be 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a... Does that make sense? And you could either walk straight up like that, or you can mix it up a little bit, but I would do the straight walk up and down first. And then the next one, so that was a group of 2. And then this group of 2, this group of 2. Make sense? The next one is a group of 3. The native thing for a group of 3 would be to play it as triplets, right? So let's feel triplets. You should be able to count to 3 every time. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Or I like to count 1 triplet, 2 triplet, 3 triplet, 4 triplet, 1 triplet. And those are triplets. Right? The other way that we could do it would be 2 16th notes, followed by an 8th, which would be... Or an 8th note followed by 2 16th notes. I kind of like this one better. Right? Okay. And then groups of 4. So this is a group of 3. Now we're looking at this. 4 notes, 4 notes. So you have to know all groupings of 4 in this pentatonic pattern, and the native feel to this would either be 8th notes or 16ths. I'm just going to jump straight to 16ths. So we have 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 4 E and a... Does that make sense? The next thing would be a group of 5 notes, getting all 5 fingers involved. I'm still going to keep it as 16th notes. This one feels a little weird, but it goes like this. 1 E and a 2 E and a 3 E and a 1 E. Still hitting. Four notes per every left hand hit. Does that make sense? Nice. Okay, so I'm gonna keep going and just add in some other alternate ideas. So we have, I'm going over to the other page that we wrote. So back to the groups of 2 notes. We did 8th notes and 16ths before, right? So 8ths again were 1 and 2 and 3 and, right? Or, right? But you can also do triplets there, which is a strange syncopated feel. It would go like this. Right? Triplets. 3 notes occurring. Right? In the groups of 3 notes, like this. We didn't really talk about 8th notes or 16ths. We did triplets. So 8th notes would be, let's see, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. Kind of like that. Does that make sense? Or 16ths would be, that's nice. You could also do triplet 16ths. That's nice too. And then let's see, groups of 4 notes. Triplets is pretty cool here. Let's see. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. You want to be able to count 3 with it for a triplet. Groups of 5, you could just do all of them, right? But I think that's pretty solid. And then you could start to add, you could start doing this, you know? Maybe start moving this. Does that make sense? Let's see, getting back to this idea, just briefly. So now instead of maybe you could try to get another rhythm in, which is going to complicate things quite a bit, right? And you could just feel this rhythm. It doesn't have to be exactly the same every time. Something like that. You could try to play. Sense? You just try to put as many of those combinations as you can together now with a chord that's moving back and forth. Yeah. Sounds a little bit cooler.